Preparing to live stream the meeting, setting up your meeting for your YouTube live.
See it. Options.
Preparing to live. Okay, it says live. Setting up your meeting for your YouTube live. I can delete that. Hit record. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I believe we are live now on YouTube. I want to thank all the parents and community members who have sent in questions for today's meeting on Lakeshore's reopening plan. Although this is our last online meeting, additional questions can be sent to parentmeeting@lscsd.org.
I'll close it out.
If you are not, if you're on the panel, please mute your mic. Okay, thank you. I want to introduce everyone to the panel of administrators that we have with us today. We have Jill Clark, who's the principal at A.J. Schmidt. Christine Starks, who's the administrator over at Hoig, runs our UPK and a lot of other things that she does in the district. Daryl Passant, one of our assistant principals at the high school and athletic director. Mrs. Bergler, our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. Mrs. Berner Wallen, assistant principal at the middle school. Mrs. Eastman, principal at JTWA. Mr. Odie, our transportation supervisor. Mr. Wilson, our director of facilities and grounds. Mr. Pecos, our assistant superintendent for administration and finance. Mr. Rydell, our middle school principal. And Mr. Deanna, one of our assistant principals at the high school. Welcome, everyone. Our reopening plan was submitted to the SED and the Department of Health and posted on our website on July 31st. The plan includes the topics of health and safety, facilities, child nutrition, transportation, social and emotional well-being, budget, school schedules, attendance, technology, and connectivity, teaching and learning, and special education. Please take a few minutes to look over the plan, and please note that this is our initial effort at reopening. Our hope is that COVID cases rates remain low in our region, and that with our precautionary steps and everyone's cooperation, that full reopening eventually will be possible. Meanwhile, Lakeshore will implement a hybrid plan that will have all of our students engaged on remote learning on Mondays. To meet New York State requirements for social distancing, students will be placed in two groups, green and white, based on the first initial of their last names and by families of the same household. That way, we have only half of the students in our buildings for in-person instruction. Students with the last name starting with A through J are in the green group. Students whose last names start with K through Z are in the white group. The green group will be in person on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with remote learning activities provided for Thursdays and Fridays. The white group will be in person on Thursdays and Fridays with remote learning activities provided for Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Students who are enrolled in certain special education programs will be in person on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Notification of assigned groups will be mailed out to families this week. If your circumstances, such as work schedules or transportation, make a different group more workable for your family, please email us at reopening@lscsd.org as soon as possible. Students who attend BOCES CTE classes, such as food service, welding, carpentry, etc., have been placed in our white group and will attend in person at Lakeshore and in person at BOCES Center on Thursdays and Fridays. Transportation will be provided to CTE students. We have arranged all classrooms to allow for social distancing and at least 6 feet while students are seated at their desks. A specially ordered Eagle mask face covering will be given to each student and staff member on the first day of in-person instruction, along with a green lanyard to attach to the face covering to help prevent loss and to keep it from falling on the ground. So they look just like this. So when students are not social distanced, they'll keep their masks on. When they are in the classroom and at least 6 foot social distance, they can just put their mask right around their chin to be ready in case they have to put their mask back on. These are cloth masks. You can wash them daily. There's a special insert where you can put an additional filter in it. And I would suggest that you put your child's name on the inside of the mask, or if you want, you can put their names or initials on the side, like I did in this white section. Disposable face coverings will also be provided for students and staff when needed. Students will be required to wear their face coverings on the bus, in the hallways, and anytime 6 feet social distancing cannot be maintained. Lunches will be consumed in the cafeteria. Three-sided polycarbonate shields will be used in the lunchrooms to allow students to eat while they have their face coverings down. Students are allowed to bring in lunches from home, so you can have your child bring in their own lunch if they would like to. Please make sure you complete the application for free and reduced lunch that have been sent out to families this week and return them to school with your child. We are not going to be able to have universal selection for lunches and meals. So if you qualify for a free reduced lunch, we need you to fill out those forms. Even if you think you might not be able to apply or be covered, fill out the application anyway and send it in. Lakeshore has purchased thermal scanners to take temperatures of students and staff as they enter our buildings. Daily screening of staff members will also occur on a daily basis before they come to school. We have about an hour for question and answer discussion. If there are still questions that you have after this last meeting, please feel free to email them to parentmeeting@lscsd.org. So I'm going to share my screen for a minute with all of you so you can see what our district website looks like. So if you go to our main district website page, this is on the main page. So right there, it has information about COVID-19 and also key reopening documents for instructional plan testing and contact tracing. If you click on that, you'll get this screen, and there's live links to information and documents that you'd be able to download or to read. We also have in this, in the coronavirus 19, there's also videos that we've put together to show what a room looks like, what the lunchroom might look like, how we're cleaning the buses, and et cetera. So there's a lot of information there for you on the website. So one of the things that we did was we took all the questions that were provided to us and we grouped them into certain categories so that we didn't repeat questions, because there were a lot of the same questions, which is totally normal because we all have those same questions. So there could be times when one of our panel members will be able to chime in and give some extra explanation if needed. I also want to welcome Mrs. Cook, our high school principal. She's down there at the bottom, depending upon how you see it on your screen. So so this is general information. Letters to parents with classroom assignments, elementary, and days of attendance are being mailed this week. Middle school and high school are coming out shortly, so please be on the lookout for that. School supply lists are online and are being mailed. Excuse me, I need to admit another person. Please check with your building principal if you are unable to locate the supplies needed for school. Classrooms will be cleaned between each period. Our current model for students are hybrid, 2 days in school, 3 days at home, full remote. Request is to be given to the building principal if you are choosing to do full remote. Any changes should be done through the building principal if your circumstances do change. Monday is a full remote for students. This will allow teachers to check in with kids, have any questions, answer any questions they might have about their learning activities that they're working on when they are at home. If cases rise in our region and we are to shut down by the county, there will be a virtual instruction for all students. There is a set schedule for each building that is in the plan on page 28. At this current time, we are unable to offer 5 days a week in-person teaching and still must adhere to our New York State and Department of Health guidelines of social distancing and wearing masks. Our UPK program will be in session. Contact Mrs. Starks at the Hoyt Building at 926-2270 if you'd like to register your child or have any other questions. Drinking fountains will remain closed, but the filling stations will be open. So your child will be able to fill their water bottle with water if they have their own bottle with them. Again, if the A through J, K through Z model does not work for you, contact your building principal to see if we can accommodate the other days for you. On the website, you will also find under the announcements, the schedules for our orientation at our different buildings. So you can find out when you're going to be coming. If you have a kindergarten student, they can bring their supplies with them on that first day of orientation. So it's going to be spread out. After school and daycare. There is after school provided by the YMCA. You can contact them at 674-9622. One, for the Boys and Girls Club, you can contact Julia, that's Julia at bgcednlakeshore.org for questions. Bathrooms. Each building has different bathroom configurations depending upon the age of the building. Some elementary schools have sinks in every room. Some buildings have touchless faucets. Students will be taught how to wash their hands with minimal touch points. Bathrooms will be cleaned throughout the day. Students will be able to dry their hands with paper towel. Cafeteria. We have a system in place so that students will not be waiting in lines that are not socially distanced when getting their lunches. Children will be eating in the cafeteria for lunch. K through 8 students will use clear cubicle-style barriers while eating. The barriers are clear and will allow students to see their friends and talk as they're sitting behind the barrier. The students will first be seated at the tables, then called up by table to pick up their lunches while remaining socially distanced. They will pull their mask up while going to get their lunch while they're waiting in line. High school students will be social distanced in the lunchroom. Breakfast will be grab and go. Students will eat breakfast in classrooms at the elementary level. We are still looking to firm up when meal pickup would be if you are remote on those days. As I said, please remember to complete the free and reduced lunch application program. We do not have the universal availability option, allowing us to provide meals free of charge for all families. So please fill out that form and send it in. Any other information that anyone would like to add on cafeteria? Good.
I just wanted to reiterate what Dr. Galuzzo said. Please make sure you fill out your free and reduced meal applications because we will have to follow those. And if your child is a full pay student, you will have to pay when you pick up meals. So I wanted to just mention that.
Thank you, Mr. Pecos. CTE, again, BOCES plans for 2 days in-person instruction and 3 days remote for CTE students. Our white group will go and attend at Lakeshore in person and at BOCES on Thursdays and Fridays. During the CTE days, students will do their classwork that they normally do at Lakeshore and at their BOCES center. Classroom environments. Students will be engaged in classroom experience throughout the day. They will use their own materials and will stay socially distanced to the extent practicable. Kids will talk in class and participate in group activities as normal, just with less students, half the students, half the time. Group activities will be look a little different because of that social distancing. For phys ed and for band and chorus classes, we will be maintaining 6 feet social distance and recess according to the building level protocols. If you're feeling uncomfortable in any way, please contact your building principal. Elementary students will travel to phys ed and to lunch. Their other special area teachers will travel to their homeroom. We are not doing departmentalization at the elementary school, so the students will be in their classroom with one teacher for all their core content areas. And they will be taught all content areas every day while they're in school. Classroom desks will be cleaned between periods at the secondary level. Class sizes. Our Lakeshore District did lose funding at all of our levels for our past budget cycle. And we've had to reduce the number of sections in some of the buildings. And we were working very hard to make sure that any section that was reduced or we're going to be paying close attention to those classes to make sure that the students get everything that they need. All of our classrooms are being set up for social distancing and to meet all of our protocols. Twins, if you have twins, they will be in the same classroom. Siblings living in the same household will attend on the same days. So if you have second graders that are twins, they'll be in the same class. And if you have a fifth grader who's not a twin, they'll be in the fifth grade class. So they'll be in on the same day, just not in the same class. Cleaning. Currently, we are using Oxivar. The chemicals are EPA approved, and we do not wear hazmat suits to administer. It dries very quickly. There are MS-DS sheets available. If you would like one, please contact the building and we can get you one. Custodian hours are being shifted so that there is extra help during the day. There is a full staff each evening for enhanced cleaning every day. If a student or employee receives a positive test result from COVID-19, the building principal facilitates with our facilities director and the director of health and services to work with the Department of Health to identify spaces within the building that individuals have occupied. These spaces, such as classrooms, bathroom, offices, and conference room, will be immediately closed and locked for a 24-hour period to reduce the amount of possible active virus that could be present on contact surfaces. After the 24-hour period has expired, the building cleaning staff will enhance, clean, and disinfect the room with APA-approved water-based disinfectant. Students will have their own set of materials. We are asking that students are not going to be sharing items with each other. Rooms will be cleaned each day after school with our enhanced cleaning protocol. Desk protocols will vary a little bit by building depending on space. Rooms will be cleaned every day with our enhanced cleaning protocol. So there's a lot of questions about COVID-19. So again, I'm going to share my screen because there are some questions about what the protocol is. So this is also on the website, and we received this directly from the Department of Health. So as you can see, if students have symptoms, we will follow this flow chart through guidance with the Department of Health. If your child has a fever, cough, shortness of breath, headache, loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle or body aches, according to the protocol that I just showed, from the Department of Health, they must have a health care provider or a negative test for COVID before returning. So we will be screening our students on a daily basis, temperature checking them as they come in. So if you go through and have those symptoms, after talking with the nurse and your doctor, we will get information from the Department of Health on how to proceed. The Department of Health will guide us through all scenarios when a staff or student member tests positive for COVID. Contact tracers will contact families directly and will be involved immediately. According to the Department of Health, if a child is symptomatic and they are going to be asked to get a COVID test or stay home for 10 days from the onset of symptoms, there should be a medical note from the doctor. It's important to keep in contact with the school nurse. Your doctor will collaborate with you and the school if your child has season allergies and it's an ongoing issue. So there will be more information to follow. So if there are certain circumstances, please contact the nurse so that we know of any medical concern that we might have, so that if your child does have a temperature, we can take proper procedures from there. There are care rooms in each of our buildings, while students might have to wait for parent pickup. We must remember that COVID transmission occurs when there is not social distancing and no masks are being worn over a sustained amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes while talking. So we are being very cautious and following all protocols. Symptomatic staff and students will report to the nurse and be isolated. They will be picked up and asked to go see their doctor. They can return with a negative COVID test after 10 days when the symptoms began. Again, the Department of Health will help us through this. All symptoms must be treated as COVID as part of the Department of Health's plan. If symptoms persist that are allergies, the school doctor again will collaborate with the plan with you and the family and the nurse. There was a question about cases in Eden. The case investigations are ongoing. At this time, the risk for community transmission of COVID from these cases is considered to be very low. It was all traced to a single person exposure. Schools do not and will not test for COVID-19. Our Department of Health coordinates the testing locations. Those are also listed on our website if you go to that main page. Each staff member and student will get a daily temperature check. Staff members will fill out a daily questionnaire. Parents will be required to complete a questionnaire periodically, and we are using an app for the staff for that process. Information regarding contact tracing and protocol symptoms, again, for students is listed on our staff website. So that we really need to have parents work with partners with us on this. In the plan on the last page, it shows all the different things you should be looking to see if your child does have symptoms. If your child does have symptoms, you should keep them home and give us a call and let us know what's going on, and then we can work with you on that. Entering the building. There will be one single point of entry at elementary buildings with the exception of JTWA, which will have two. The district will monitor the body temperature of all staff and students upon entering the building. The district has ordered thermal scanner temperatures scanners for each building. These scanners can take temperatures of up to 30 people in a group while they walk past the scanner. Our students will be walking in a nice orderly fashion as they walk into the building. We don't anticipate any child having to wait outside in a line to be able to be scanned. These thermometers are very quick. And an example of that is also posted on our website, so you could take a look and see what that looks like. A staff member will monitor the scanner at arrival in each building. If a temperature of 100 degrees or higher is noted, the employee or student will scan again and have the temperature taken with a handheld device. If the temperature is verified, the student will go to the nurse's office along with the staff member for screening for other symptoms. Parents will be notified to come and pick up their child with the temperature if they're reading 100 or higher, or if there are other symptoms noted. Again, staff members will complete a screening questionnaire electronically. The format for the questionnaire for students is still to be determined. So we are going to work out a way for us to periodically send questionnaires to parents at home, similar to what we use at school with the staff. We must remember again that COVID transmission occurs when there is not social distancing and no mask being worn over a sustained amount of time, 10 to 15 minutes. Drop off and pickup times will be available this week, and protocols will be released so parents know where, when, and how to drop off their students at each of our buildings. We're going to have a lot more room at the middle school, isn't that right, Mr. Rydell? Grading. This year, we will be giving actual grades, will not be pass, fail. Masks. All children will be provided with a mask when they are unable to social distance. If you are sending a mask from home, you may use any mask that covers the nose and mouth. We will have disposable masks for students if they don't have one, and we will also have them on buses in case a child forgets to wear a mask before they get on the bus. Please make sure you wash your hands often. So again, cleanliness is very important. So masks are required to be worn at all times on the bus, in hallways, and when you can social distance. This will be strictly enforced. Masks are not required all day when their students are sitting in their classroom at their desk that are social distance to be 6 feet, and are not required to wear them in physical education classes unless they can social distance. So again, in the classroom, if I'm a child sitting in my seat and the teacher is 6 feet away, your mask can be brought down around your chin. If the teacher needs to walk around or is doing group activities, the teacher will ask the children to put their mask back up so that we maintain that level of protection. Physical education will be regularly scheduled and will follow a 12-foot distancing spacing when engaged in cardiovascular activities. We will encourage outside activities as much as possible. All equipment will be wiped down, and class sizes will be half the size of a typical year. And this is true for band and chorus. Mr. Rydell, you want to talk a little bit about band and chorus at the middle school?
Sure. So obviously, because the auditorium is under construction at this point, and we're not able to use it, the band and chorus programs will be working with parents and working with teachers to schedule individual lessons and then small group instructions that will be cohorted by team. So there won't be any cross-contamination through the grade levels or through children of the same grade level on different academic teams. Chorus will be doing the same thing. So there'll be small sectional ensemble rehearsals where of probably 6 or 7, band will be between 8 and 9 or 8 and 10, dependent on the space in the room and what the instruments the children are playing. So the music teachers are working on doing a hand schedule for all of those students at this point right now. And again, our goal will be to keep kids participating and playing and enjoying the performing arts.
Mrs. Cook, it's a little different, kind of the same, but a little different at the high school.
Yeah, so we are fortunate enough to have the use of our auditorium and stage area. So we will be able to have larger groups that are socially distanced appropriately. So the music department has been working very diligently to make sure that they are looking at the spaces based on their class size and maybe do a little bit of tweaking between rooms for some of their elective classes.
Elementary?
At WA, I'm lucky enough to have the auditorium. So our auditorium will be used for band, orchestra, and then chorus is more of an elective type of an additional. We don't have it necessarily for everyone. It's for our 4th and 5th graders. So our teacher will plan accordingly so that we make sure that we have it staffed appropriately.
Great. So we just want you all to know that we are going to follow our protocols. Students will be at least 12 feet in distance if they're involved with any kind of a wind instrument or singing. But we still want to be able to provide as much of an opportunity for children to be able to participate in those activities as possible. There was a question about holidays and what happens on that day if it's a holiday and that's a day when my child is supposed to be in person. So as the year progresses, we'll be able to make a better decision about those kinds of days, such as Thanksgiving holidays, when your child would have come to school if they were a Thursday or Friday student. So as the year progresses, there'll be more information about schedules. When we will follow all of our NYSCD guidelines. If they determine that kids can come to school every day and they don't have to wear a mask and social distance, we will adjust to meet all guidelines. We are all hoping that this is not for a full year, but understand that this is the best way to be part of the solution in beating the virus. We will follow guidance from the New York State Department of Education in terms of returning to full in-person. Our high school schedules are available after September 1st. All students will have their electives and specials. All buildings will run their rotation. Remote days are considered attendance days, and we will be learning more on how that will be documented in terms of attendance from the state. Students in elementary level will eat breakfast in the classroom and lunch in the cafeterias. We can only offer hybrid at this time in order to comply with the state regulations and with social distancing. It should also be noted that our first day of school in attendance is going to be September 8th. The board recently changed our calendar so that we can have 4 professional development days before we start school to get ready for kids coming in and to also to be able to start on our rotation. So the 2 staff development days that were originally scheduled during the year have been moved to the beginning of the year. So our first day of in-person is going to be September 8th. And again, those schedules will be coming out soon. Special education, other services, extra help. Classroom assignments are being mailed this week. All IEPs will be followed, and if you feel there is a question about service, please contact your child's teacher or building principal. Speech services will be either push in or pull out. If your child cannot tolerate a mask medically, we will collaborate with you and your healthcare provider for preventative measures. Our 504 plans will be followed. AIS is also going to be provided for students who qualify. Therapies will be provided in school, and some teletherapy will also be provided as well. Your specific schedule will be determined as the year gets closer. So on Mondays, when it's remote for everyone, that's going to give us the opportunity to be able to have touch points with students in terms of asking and answering questions that students might have about the work they have. There could be some teletherapies happening with speech or OT or other therapies that you might be able to do that way at home. So once we get into the year, we'll have a better schedule with that to be able to share that with people. Because we want to make sure that we provide everything that we need to provide for the kids that's on their IEPs. So there will be extra help on those days, and schedules are going to be determined this week, and we'll send out that information to you. There are certain students in certain self-contained classrooms that will be in attendance Tuesday through Friday. The schedule is being mailed out this week, and again, even for those students, remote instruction will occur on Mondays. Sports. Sports have been tentatively scheduled to start September 21st. We are waiting for final word from the state. Sports will also be receiving protocols that align with the New York State guidance and how sports need to, what we need to do for students to be able to participate in sports. All of this information is coming from the New York State Ed Department and the Department of Health. Mr. Basant, would you like to add anything?
Sure, I would just like to add, we are preparing to go, like Dr. Galuzzo said, for the 21st. So I'm encouraging parents to make sure that we get your information by going to our website, the Lakeshore website, where you could fill out the sign-up form, where we'll have your information with email so my coaches can communicate with you guys. And then also the physical update form, which we'll need for the physical list. So we're doing everything we can to make sure and follow the rules. Coaches will have all the equipment ready to go, and we'll have the hand sanitizer spray and the equipment disinfectant spray ready to go, and social distancing will be followed and everything we need to do. So we're looking forward to it and hoping that we're a go.
Great. Technology, access, and remote days. As the school year begins, there'll be a process for sign out of technology. We will begin the year with paper-based work due to the high request from families for paper, and this will allow time for students in school to learn the technology that they are going to need to use in the classroom before being asked to do independent work. This is also an equity issue, as some families do not have internet access or devices. A survey is going to be sent out to each family to gather technology access information. Packet distribution will be conveyed in a letter later in August. So we are working out a schedule to be able to pick up paper assignments for those students that are staying home and that are remote, while other students are in person. So if you choose the remote option, I just want to make it clear that you are not considered a homeschool child. You are still considered a Lakeshore child, and we will be providing information for you to be able to work on at home and have those contact times to be able to have contact with teachers at some point during the week. We are starting the year with paper-based and working on developing a system so that all students will know how to access their work when it's due. Our K-12 model will be Google Classroom. Students will learn to use Google Classroom in school before assigning it for independent work. There'll be a variety of different things that teachers might do technology-based. We will more than likely have some technology links and different kinds of things on websites, on their teacher websites, or through Google Classroom for those that can't access to be able to do that. But the information on there won't be required if you don't have access to technology while we're remote. So the same expectations will be there on Mondays as well as other days that students are in remote learning. Because you'll have the work in advance, hopefully you'll be able to adjust your schedules accordingly so that your children will be able to work on their assignments while they're in daycare or while they're at home. We will do our very best to accommodate all families. Again, our touch points will be on Monday, so we'll be calling parents, reaching out to families to see how it's going, how we might be able to accommodate you in different ways. We thank you for your patience as we work through these protocols. The computer protocol expects that students will wash their hands before and after each use of the computers while they're in the building. We're not allowed to use the different wipes on the computers because they are touch screens and they will damage the computers. So we're going to be practicing really good hygiene before and after the use of all those computers to decrease the amount of touch points that students will have. MyFIs will be available as the school year begins. Once we find out what our technology needs are from the community. Transportation. You will know when you can drop off and pick up your child if they are not taking the bus. Details are being mailed this week. You can also call the building principal. If you have to change your plans, you will contact the transportation department and the building principal to let us know what has changed for your family situation. Consistency for us is the key. Daily bus passes that were able to be used last year will not be permitted at this time, as we have our buses assigned and socially distanced on the bus. We're not allowed to use alcohol-based cleaners on the bus, but they are sanitized and cleaned before and after every run. Mr. Odie, you want to add anything about transportation?
Certainly. Thank you, Dr. Galluzzo. I just want to reassure everybody we're taking the pandemic issues very seriously, and all of our staff is being trained on how to properly sanitize and disinfect buses, letting you know that all staff will be using mouth and nose coverings and taking every precaution possible. If you have any questions at all about transportation or alternate pickup and drop-off points, you're more than welcome to call us here at the transportation office anytime between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m.
Thank you. So as we were going through these meetings, we received some questions via the parent meeting email address. So I'm going to read those questions and we'll answer these because they were not necessarily part of the combination of questions that we had earlier. We had over 155 people sending questions, so I want to thank you all for sending in questions and being part of the process. There were more than 150 questions because many of the people that filled out an email had more than one question, which was great. So this one says, are children allowed to bring in their own lunches? And I answered that earlier. Yes, they can bring in their own lunches from home. There's a question about kindergarten screening. So Mrs. Eastman, I know that we had talked about that. Would you like to talk about kindergarten screening and how that's going to work for our incoming kindergarten students?
Sure. Kindergarten screening will take place starting the second week children are present. Our kindergarten screening is to provide a baseline for incoming kids. It'll help identify any students that may have speech or OT needs, so we can start that early intervention. But again, it's really only a baseline gauge for us. We'll share it with the classroom teachers and you what the results are. But no panic as far as going through. We know we usually have that done in early August or actually in May, but no panics. Any questions, just ask your building principal.
Great. And there was a question about, am I allowed to drop my child off at the front door and wait until they go in? We are obviously limiting the number of people that are in the building, so we're going to ask that you do not do that. But I do want to have the elementary principals talk a little bit about the first day for kindergarten kids, because I know that is a huge day in a child's life. Being a former elementary principal myself, it was always great to be able to welcome the children in to the building for their very first time. So let's start with Mrs. Politowski. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mrs. Clark.
I think can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think the nice thing is that the parents will be able to come with their students on the orientation day. So the children and the parents will be able to get the feel of the school. So that will alleviate a lot of the jitters. But the parents will be able, if they're drop-offs, to come up to the front doors, just not enter the building. So they will be able to get their last hug in by the front doors, just not bring them right to the classroom door. And really, a lot of our children have already had pre-K experience or some kind of daycare experience. So I know Mrs. Eastman can support this, that we really haven't in the last few years have had a lot of parents bring the children right to the classroom anyway. So we're going to have a great experience on the first day.
And they have to be able to get that picture, which is so important, because you take one at the first day of every year so that you can have it in your house, right?
Yeah, right.
Mrs. Starks, you want to talk about UPK?
Sure. Pre-K will be over at the Hoig building, and we too will have half the children, half the time, but we will be starting off right away with every other Monday being an instructional day. So if you are in the white group, you'll have your 2 days and a Monday, and then the opposite with the green. So every other Monday, you'll also have instructional time. The children will be met at the door or at the curb as well by staff. So you'll drive right up into the bus loop. The staff will meet you right here, and we will bring your children in for you. We still have some space. So if you are interested in registering for UPK, please give us a call. And if you have any questions, it'll be great. But I think we're going to have a great year. It really will be just great.
Thank you. There's a question about how do we obtain a school laptop for remote, and our parents are responsible to obtain a specific laptop for their child. So again, we're going to be taking our technology survey to see what the needs are in the community. So again, for the first month, it's going to be primarily paper-based activities that are going to be sent home for students. In terms of the type of laptop, I don't really think it matters too much. The type that you have, iPads are not really conducive for what we might have to do and use for technology wise. So Mr. Barnes is in the room with me. He's our technology guy. Mr. Barnes, it doesn't matter if it's an app, a Mac or a Dell or any other brand?
No, what we recommend is if you have a PC laptop, make sure you have Google Chrome loaded on it. If you have an Apple laptop, make sure Chrome is loaded on it. And of course, as a cheaper alternative, you can get a Chromebook, which is directly part of our learning system. So.
Great. When should we expect to get a school supply list and schedule? Again, the schedule should be coming out this week, and I believe the supply lists are posted on the website. So you can go directly to there.
And Dr. Gluzo, we include them in the mailing at the elementary levels as well.
Great. How do I know what group my child is in? Again, it depends upon your last name. If it's A through J, you are in the green group. If it's K through Z, you are in the white group, unless you have contacted your building principal with some type of a special arrangement needed. Sports physical permission forms. Again, Mr. Basant, you had talked about that. They should still be sending those in, and we're collecting.
Yeah, New York State did alter some of the requirements because of the COVID. And all you need to do is have a physical within the last 2 years, and our update form is directly on our athletics webpage that you can print out at home, or you can fill it out and then just email to us, scan it, and we'll get that right to the nurses so we can get you on the list so the coaches have that information.
Great. What will transportation look like? I have a second grader that goes to Highland, and we'll need busing. Mr. Odie?
Transportation will be running in accordance with the green and white groups. So if your child is in the green group, you'll get a letter home stating their pickup and drop off time, location, and bus number, and that student will be picked up on the appropriate day.
So the pickup times will be generally the same as they were in years past, I would imagine.
Very close, yes.
So if I'm opting for remote learning, will the student be assigned a teacher? So all of our teachers will have the students on their class list, regardless if they are in person or in a remote situation. So if you have Mrs. Smith as your classroom teacher and she's your in-person teacher, she would be the one that would be responsible for getting information and activities together for your child. Again, we're working on a time and a date, a time and a place for parents to pick up those activities and materials that they need. So that'll be coming out within the next week. Will the remote learner affect financial aid from the state? That kind of goes back to our attendance question. We're going to be getting more information from the state on how to take attendance from students that are remote. So we are not seeing that it should affect our financial aid to the districts. Students will be graded and assessed if they're remote, again, through the work that they're handing in and through the touch points and different activities that a teacher is going to be sending you throughout the time. Mask policy, I talked about that. You have to wear your mask at all times when you're not socially distanced in the hallways, on the bus, in any classroom if you're not socially distanced. So the masks have to be worn during that time, and it will be strictly enforced. If a child does have an issue that's medical, we will make arrangements. If the child is refusing to wear their mask when they need to, there'll be a conversation between an administrator and that child's parent to see what we can do to figure out a solution. Okay, this is another question about technology. Again, for the first month, we'll be paper-based, looking to see how we might be able to provide technology at home. So if you look at this is about kindergarteners and what an online schedule will look like for a day, estimated login times, how long, will there be more than one time per day? So if we are totally remote for everybody, there are schedules on the website, in the building plan, in the district plan to talk about those schedules. So they are, being worked out in the buildings, and there'll be more information to come if we were to have to go virtual for everybody and to have different type of learning. So that will be coming out if we have to go there. Will students who need additional help and subjects be allowed to meet with teachers one-on-one throughout the week to get help on areas of need? Mrs. Bergler?
Yes, we are providing time throughout the week, some touch points. So Monday for sure, every teacher will be provided the opportunity to be able to set up Google Meets so that you can tune in and learn from a teacher or get support with the work that was sent home. And then at the middle high school level on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, There are times in the afternoon that are built in, so you'll receive links for those as well. And then in the elementary, we're trying to provide a minimum of one other touch point during the week with a certified teacher to get support with the work that you've sent home, that we've sent home.
Great, thank you. How is the online learning format going to differ, if at all, from the spring online learning the students were given? Will there be more interactive lessons taught or lessons recorded that students can follow along with at home? Again, this is a process that we're looking at how that's exactly going to be provided if we were to go virtually at home. So there's going to be different things that we're doing, and there'll be more information coming out on that particular question. Is it possible for a student to start out fully remote and then start attending in person at some point later? What we have done, we have asked high school parents and middle school parents, if you're going to make the decision to stay home remotely, that it be for a semester, and for elementary trimester. But as always, we at Lakeshore want to do our best for families. If there is an issue or if something comes up, please contact your building principal, and we will see what we need to do to work out a solution for your family. Why are special needs students and special education students going to school 4 days a week when they're more susceptible and going more days than the general ed students? So again, our certain special ed classes will be going Tuesday through Friday. Those classes are generally much smaller classes to begin with, and we have provided all the social distancing that we need to, and especially for the students in these programs, they really need that contact time. I'm not going to say more, but they have needs that require us to be able to provide that service for them at a more intense level. So that is something that we are going to be doing for those students. Mrs. Benedict, you want to expand on that at all?
Thanks, Dr. Galuzzo. Those students are oftentimes students that have therapies as well. So we do see an increase of therapy, so that 4 days a week. So along with the smaller class sizes, those students will be receiving their therapies during that time.
Great. Will the kids be learning the same material on Tuesday and Thursday? Are we hoping to move forward and new curriculum be taught each day? So since we have in-person on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, those lessons to those kids that are in person will be the same or very similar. Teachers will be sending activities and things for students to be working on at home that will help extend that learning. So that's why we have those touch points for students to be able to ask questions. And if you have questions with the work that you're doing at home, please feel free to have those questions ready for when they do come back, or when it's your touch time for those questions. And just have your children do the very best they can while they're at home. A couple more. So a little bit about the thermal scanners. Mr. Wilson, you want to talk to people a little bit about the thermal scanners and what they look like and how they work?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Galuzzo. So we tried a few different styles, and what we found was a one that does a gross batching. It'll do up to 30 individuals passing through. It's accurate to within 1/10 of a degree. We will have students and staff all pass through these, and they indicate, first of all, their temperature. It also indicates kind of a pass or no pass scenario, green or red. And then the individual operating that particular unit will be the one and maybe some other assistance to get that individual aside, and then determination by the RNs and things like that, or our nurses or LPNs to move it along.
Great. When will parents be notified if someone is homesick with COVID, so we could take appropriate steps? So again, if there is a positive case, hopefully there's not going to be, but if there is, again, we'll work with the Department of Health and their contact tracers, and they will let us know what they're going to be doing. You'll be contacted directly by the contact tracers through the Department of Health. And again, it's all about that contagion is, direct contact, face-to-face, 10 to 15 minutes exposure without wearing a mask. So they will help us determine what the next steps will be for notifying people. Okay. There was a question about how we're going to clean band instruments that are shared by other students. Mrs. Cook, would you want to talk about that with the high school?
Sorry, at the high school level, students have their own instruments, so it's not really an issue. In the event that there is something that might be shared, i.e. the percussion or something of that nature, we will be disinfecting in between usages.
Dr. Galluzzo, K-8, they're not going to share instruments. So even if there was a history of that in the past, they will help students select instruments that align with it, maybe in the same family, but they're not going to share instruments this year.
Great, thank you. Can we keep our child out of phys ed class? So again, in phys ed, we're going to have half the students, half the time. Students will be socially distanced at least 12 feet. We're going to be trying to go outside as much as possible when the weather is nice. Unless there's an actual medical concern or medical reason, we would anticipate students participating in phys ed class while they're in school. And I'm just looking through the questions to make sure that they've all been answered. And yes, they have been. So I want to thank our Lakeshore community for participating with us, asking us great questions. Thank the administrators for being here. I guess as my final thought, I just want the community to know that we really miss having the kids in our building. And if we can have them here 5 days a week, we would certainly be doing that. We really cannot wait for the school year to start and seeing kids in the building. It's a very strange feeling to be in a school when there's no kids in it. And I know they could speak for the panel that we want them here as much as possible. And we are going to do it in a safe way. And we are going to do our very best to provide everyone with everything that they need to the best of our ability and then some. So as I said before, this is our last meeting. If you still have questions, please send them to parentmeeting@lscsd.org, and we will continue to monitor that website, that email, and email you the answers to your questions directly. Is there anything else anyone would like to add? Okay, thank you very much, and we will see you in September. Have a great day.